Hi, Jason Cornell, Cox Automotive. JD Calder's here, and Daniel's sitting off to the side. So we're here to talk about some stuff we've been doing on code management and promotion with ManageIQ using Ansible and Git, with some of the stuff that Oleg mentioned earlier. So we're kind of excited about what's been going on and what we're doing and how it can work together. So a little introduction for those that don't know Cox Automotive. We own a ton of different brands. So we have over 50 different business units around the globe, and we focus on the automotive marketplaces. So anything that has to do with buying, selling, using a vehicle. We have auto auctions, we have autotrader.com, Kelley Blue Book are probably the brands you'll be familiar with, the consumer-facing brands. And we have a lot of software brands that kind of offer SaaS services for auto dealerships, OEMs, that sort of thing. So we've been a ManageIQ user before it was part of Red Hat and CloudForms, so 3 or 4 years ago now. And we've evolved as an organization over that time as well. So we started out, we were just AutoTrader, and we started acquiring brands and starting up brands within our organization to get to the 50-plus brands that we have today. So as part of that, we have tons of data centers, tons of different infrastructure, different dev teams, different QA teams, different app teams that want to deliver infrastructure to develop their solutions and code and everything they need to do. In the past, it was very manual, submit tickets, wait 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it may be for an infrastructure engineer to provision the VMs, provision the environments, that kind of thing. So that's what we're using ManageIQ for. One of the challenges we've run into is different teams want to be able to develop their automate code, they want to provision it, they want to leverage it. It gets very challenging to do so. So that's where we came up with, we need to kind of improve this process. So challenge to automation development, everybody that's worked in the automate model understands this. All the code, it's not in a repository. It's in flat files in the database. Developer has to cut and paste from an IDE into the UI. It's difficult to track development if you have multiple developers working on stuff. Who's working on what? Where are they in the process? They can step over each other. And it's difficult to keep code synchronized. You can have multiple windows open, you paste to the wrong one, into the wrong dev environment, production environment, and all of a sudden you've blown something up. And obviously you can't promote, just say promote from this environment to another environment. So I'm going to hand it over to JD, and he is going to go through kind of what we have, where we are, and we can discuss kind of where we should go and if it aligns with the ManageIQ vision.
Thank you, Jason. I guess everybody can hear me? Yep. We good? Yep. All right. Okay, I know it's a little bit of an eye test here, but before we get started, I just want to let you know that our management, our IT management basically told us that we need to automate everything. That was our goal. So for the last 3 years, I've pretty much been in the automate model, and that's what I've been working on, is creating this new all these different flows for these 50 some odd business units. So when Daniel joined the team some months ago, it may have been a little bit self-serving, but we put Daniel in the corner and said, go address all these challenges. This is just too much stuff for us. So Daniel's been heads down in the corner. They feed him a little something every so often, and that's what he's been doing. So thank you, Daniel. So what we did and what Daniel's come up with and what we've worked on and come up with is what we're calling the Development Deployment Toolkit, the DDT. And basically what we're doing is we're bringing Git into the equation. Because if you want to have true software development, you've got to have a repository. And they're telling me that my hard drive on my laptop is not a true repository. So externalize it here. So I use a Mac, I use RubyMine, and then now we're using Git and some of those features. So real high level of what DDT is doing. So you got your average superhero developers using RubyMine. They're basically checking in the code into RubyMine, into Git. And then we're using Ansible playbooks. And what we're doing with there is we have several different methods that we can export and perform different functions to the automate model. So then we're able to, developer 1 can deploy to dev lab 1, developer 2 can deploy somewhere else. And ultimately, once we merge it back into the master, we can actually then deploy it up to the production. So I did not want to tempt the demo gods, so I have pre-recorded this. I'm sure there's Wi-Fi is perfect in here. But we'll go through. And we do use CloudForms. It's 3.2. I know it's ManageIQ, so if I use CloudForms back and forth, that's what I meant. So we'll go in here. Basically what we're doing is, just to give you a real quick view of how we do it, normally you could go into the automate model, and that's basically what I work in, is the automate model. We'll go in there. We could edit a file. We could check it in and then push it. But one of the things that I like, this is kind of cool. I mean, I could make an edit here, but actually what I'm going to do is go up and just do a simple Control-C, or basically copy a complete directory structure. I'm going to go paste it. And I'm going to give it a unique name that I can actually, it makes it easy to see. So we're going to call it new demo data. So this is in my RubyMine. I'm adding it to Git. All I'm going to do now, we're going to commit the directory. And this is just basic Git commands. I'm not using the shortcut keys I normally would use. I'm using drop-down menus just so everybody can see. But obviously that you can create shortcut keys and everything you need to do this. So we're going to, let's go back and look at that real quick. So one of the things that we're going to do here is we're going to commit this. We put our message in here, but we're also going to run a Ansible task or Ansible playbook call as soon as we actually check it in. And on this one, we're going to call automate update. And then we're going to do the commit and push. So do the push. This is a new method that's being created. It was not on Dev 1. So in the Ansible task at the bottom down here, I'll talk over this in just a moment here, some of the aspects of that. This is real time. I did it here last night, matter of fact. So with the Wi-Fi that I had here, it only takes just a few seconds to actually update, usually. Did I pause it? If that would make a difference. Yes. I can do an infinite loop almost half as fast. Okay. Okay. So basically now it's said that it's actually checked it into the Git repository and that it's actually done the update to the appliance. So we'll go over and look at the appliance. At the Explorer, it's got to rebuild its cached data. And now we have this new directory that's already on the appliance. So I could have made just a simple change of going back and forth doing iterative, creating a method of some sort. But this one I actually just copied in an entire directory in there, and everything's there. So some of the benefits of the DDT, obviously there. Now it's truly a software development toolkit where we can actually create the software and check it in a repository and promote it into different regions. You can use different IDEs. Right now, I use RubyMine. Eclipse should work. We should be able to do the same things. You're going to use the standard commit and push, and then the gem, the CF DDT is what we're calling the gem right now. This is some of the pre-work that you'll have. You'll actually install the gem first, and it's going to be doing a lot of those Ansible calls for you and the Ansible work for you underneath the covers. So right now, we're not doing a whole lot with unit tests. That's where we want to get to. But you could run unit tests or any kind of automate that anything you should use Ansible for, you should be able to do right there. If you ran into a problem, you can easily revert it back as well because it's in your Git repository, so you can always go back to a tag or a label or a different state. So setting it up, right now I'm showing you the automate model, but for a true deployment, you're going to have buttons, you're going to have dialogues, you're going to have a complete suite of things that you need. So that's where we're going to show a demo of how quick it is to set one up. So a new user came in, or we had a sprint, planning meeting, and that's the car they let me drive around for a little while. They don't even let me watch that. Come on. Okay, so a new user's gone to a sprint meeting. He's got a new task. He could get it out. Right now, what we're going to do is go create a new branch. This usually basically get features, nothing new, nothing spectacular here. Give it a name. We'll call it CAI demo. And again, there's no magic here. But when you go back into RubyMine now, what we'll do is we'll do a checkout. from Git, selecting my repository, giving it the name that I want to call my either BZ or feature. All right, so it's in the data, it's in the RubyMine now, so I can go into my IDE. You'll notice that all the stores are there, the data store, the button store, the dialog store, so all these tasks could be done right now. I'm just focusing on automate just for our examples, but hopefully we're going to have the whole suite where you could just click and promote everything at one point, or you can compartmentalize and just push what you need to. So right now it contains no data, because we want to have consistency that we may have had an admin that go on to the UI and he created some kind of change, and we need to incorporate that change into our local environment. So what we're going to do is go down to these Ansible tasks that are pre-set up. We're going to say, we're going to call automate initialize. And basically what that's doing is going over to that appliance, that we have a target appliance, and basically it's creating a new data, or a new directory structure that's on that database. And what that directory structure is sort of a holding place for all the flat files. So it'll have it in the proper directory structure, but it's going to be the flat files such that it's taken out of the EVM and actually put in that directory structure. So when you look at it right now, there's nothing there. It's clean. It's pristine. Hasn't been tainted yet with my code. So this Ansible task ran. And then this was the initialize. Now we're going to go up and run the export. Come on. There we go. Automate export. So with the export, it's actually doing that. It's an Ansible task, or excuse me, I guess it's a Ruby task that's on there from the consulting scripts. And basically, it's doing an export of the EVM into that flat file structure. There is a config file that basically is used, and basically that config file is in a peer, so that I can use the same config file every time. I don't have to, every time I open a new branch, I don't have to have a, Rico set that config file. So I could have one config file for lab 1, another config file for lab 2, and another one for prod. And that holds a lot of credentials and things that we need. Then it's going to have this branch right here, CAI demo. It's basically saying what branch, what's your source of data is your CAI demo, and then the host is your target. Where do you want to send this data? And then we're calling the Ansible export on the automate model. And it's truly doing that. It's going over and exporting everything from the EVM and getting it into that flat file structure. And then at that point, it's actually going to do a check-in to Git as well. So if we go back over here to the server, this is my lab 1. Should be able to let's go. I guess we went back and looked at the Ansible task. So we are using Tower. We got the Enterprise Edition. You could roll up your own personal version on your local box. We have an Enterprise Edition, so we're using that. And these are the jobs that are running. So it takes, it depends, obviously, this is doing an export of your database, so it depends on your size of your database and how quick this export is. This one took about 1.5 minutes. It was a lab instance. So it has done everything there. So if I go up to my data store and do a pull request or a pull from Git, come on. Okay, it was late last night when we got in, so sorry if it's a bit slow and jumpy. So once we do our pull requests, basically everything that was actually in that Dev Lab 1 is now in my local. Some 5,300 items has been pulled out, and now it's in my local. This is the Ruby, the YAML, everything in the proper file structure. So it's got all the data there. So what that does is really it synchronizes us between lab and dev, or multiple labs and multiple devs. Using Git as your main source of truth, you can easily merge using Git type functions and everything, and that gives you a lot more capabilities to ensure that all the code is consistent across multiple regions if you have that, or if there's other challenges that. For us, the biggest thing was getting out of sync between all the different parts and pieces, the dialogues and the buttons and everything may not got promoted to everywhere, and it was hard to go back through and truly see where the disconnect was. And so the DDT basically updates that server and puts it into the database. That way, I always can go back to that, and I have a true instance or a state of that machine at that point in time, and I can always go back to it and restore it to that point. And this is so. Say we have gone through and we've. Oops, where's my? Come on. Nope. Stop. So if you look over here, right now we have this dynamic demo data that we deployed out to our Dev 1. Our QA folks have gone out there, they've blessed it, it's good, it's ready to go to production. Obviously, I'm not going to push it to production here, but I do have, in the green tab up here is our Dev Lab 2, and we're going to use that as would be a production. It could also be, you're just trying to synchronize your environments once a new feature's been added. But you'll basically go into the, let's go back over. So right now, that new data demo data does not exist on Lab 2. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to go up to, hopefully today, we're going to go up and do a Dev 2 automate restore. And these buttons right here, you can do these shortcuts and create them as actual keystrokes. Again, I'm doing the menu. But basically what we're doing here is an Ansible call. It's doing an automate restore. And what restore is doing is telling the appliance, and this is Dev 2 at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it very well, but that's Dev 2, and which could be a production. It could be a different region or whatnot. But that's your source, and it's telling it to go back and receive or go get a source from Git. It could be a label or a tag or whatnot. Right now we're using a branch. And it's going to go back there and it's going to make a call to Git. It's going to get that branch and it's going to import it into that database. It took about 4.5 minutes to run through Movie Magic. It got cut down. So it was successful. It did go to Cloud Dev 2, if you'll notice on the very bottom, which is hard to see, I know. So that's basically where we deployed it. So now if we go look at Cloud Dev 2, right there. Previously, that new demo data was not there in the data structure. We do a refresh and drill down to it, and our code has been deployed. And now this was just the automate model. It could be the entire suite that gets deployed. But if we roll it out there and then we have a smoke test and we find something that's wrong with it, then we can easily go to Git and say, give me the previous version of branch or whatever you want. So it really gives you a little peace of mind to be able to go through. Because now, like I said, these were our challenges before. We had, and I think Daniel's done a fantastic job addressing all of these. The cutting and pasting into the wrong methods. There's a lot of different things that we've had to address. We don't have to worry about that anymore now. I mean, with this tool, productivity is going to go way up just because it's so easy to make a little change, go and test it right away. You don't have all the bouncing back and forth between UIs and trying to fix things. So, going along pretty quick, but some of the things here that DDT does, I mean, it really does put us so that we have software in our repository, and we can always go back and look at it. We can maintain that state, and we can always bring back the branches, if we had some kind of issues, if there was somebody stepped on something or if there was something new that shouldn't have been released, we can easily pull it back. And then, you're working locally, so it's easy. The rollback and regression testing gives you some capabilities there that we just didn't have before. So, and then really now, one of the things with our change management, we're fortunate we can usually do it off hours and they'll let us push code out there to production. Some people may have to do it during maintenance windows, but now you can do a rapid code promotion with very low risk, and usually change management is a little more accepting of that. So where are we now and where are we going? So the big thing right now, the development, Daniel's doing the majority of the development right here on this, and would say it's about 80% complete of what we were addressing at first, the use cases that we had right now. And I'm sure with this room, with the vast knowledge and different ways that people are doing things, there might be a lot of other things that we want to do, and there might be other use cases we'll add. But one of the things I want personally is unit testing. It just gives me a little peace of mind knowing that I can run a test and get a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And then nightly builds, because we have automation workflows that somebody may not build for months. And then when they kick it off under dire need, then it breaks because there's been some infrastructure change nobody accounted for and nobody propagated back to me. And so then we have failures. So I would love to get to automation nightly or weekly builds so that it can build up and tear down, so you always have that peace of mind that, all your automation workflows are still working. So we're at a point now, I think, majority of the code could be pushed to the MIQ depot today, tomorrow, soon. There's lots of little things that we'd like to do. I keep asking for another, this or that, but really it comes down to that next is, how does this align with MIQ's, long-term visions? I know that there's discussions that this was going on as well already. And then, what are the other use cases that people might be interested in? So I just want to open it up for questions. I know we still got a good bit of time, so we've got Daniel here. He's our technical guy. If people have any deep dive questions they want to, I can run through and show you how to set up on some of the Ansible tasks within the IDE if anybody's interested in that. It just comes up. Questions? I don't know if you may have to run.
So all the automation that you run.
Yep. You want to? We'll share this. Give him the mic.
So all the automation that run as the post git hook run locally on your development machine. It's not triggered on a central server after the git push has happened, or how does that work? Where do these tasks run? And so this is the first question. And the second question is, you don't have anything like a continuous deployment queue that everything you check into Git is then deployed into an initial test server where it is executed or available to others to directly test it and get feedback on it.
So, one, you want to go? Sure. Okay.
So, as far as the first question, right now, there's a config file that gets shipped with the gem where you can modify, of course, and you can point that, you can point the CF DDT actions to any Ansible server. So it can be an Ansible instance running local on your laptop, or it can be in your enterprise environment. CF DDT, wherever you run the initial setup command, because it does have a setup switch that facilitates a lot of the having to modify Ansible's environment to suit CloudForms in this specific scenario, including uploading playbooks, creating the project, creating the inventories file, the host file, and all that for you. Once that's set up initially, all CF DDT does is basically say, go, Ansible, go run this task. And that task gets run on the appliance of choice. As far as your second question, the reason why there was direction to use Ansible is because this way you can actually schedule tasks. So you can schedule the automate update, right? So every time you actually do check and code, it automatically updates, CloudForms with this, with whatever information. Each store, like the automate store, the data store, the button store, tag store, all of these run independently of each other. So this way you can actually update, the data store from your project or repository or branch tag, but not have to update all the buttons that go with that. So this way you can continuously update the data store portion, but not have to update the button store on every action.
Any other questions? I know it's lunchtime. That's what everybody's thinking right now, right?
Hey, so my question is regarding integration with the service designer and maybe with the pluggable infrastructure, if there is a plan to include it, so we can make the separation works well.
And I think this goes back to the point of places where we would like to take this. Like I said, we had Daniel sitting down into the corner doing this sort of to meet my needs, self-serving. But no, he was addressing these issues that we were having. So we haven't really been talking with the community about the best fit and how this could fit into your the best pluggable infrastructure. So yeah, we want to. So yeah, we plan on committing this code into the community, and then where it fits best is what we need to discuss, where we want to take it further.
You said you're using version 3.2?
Currently, yes.
My guess is that's because there's a lot of worry of migrating. Is this going to allow you to migrate to more current versions more quickly?
Well, I hope so. Like I said, we had some big acquisitions last year, so we brought a lot more business units in, and so, I've been knee-deep in tasks to be done already. So just keeping the lights on has been keeping us busy. We do have plans to go to 4.x this summer, just haven't got there yet. And we're hoping, yeah, and we will ensure that this works on the 4.x as well. Have one.
So it isn't quite clear to me what's your SDLC environments. Could you kind of summarize what are the different environments, right, from what's exposed to the developers all the way through? I just like to understand how many different environments you have.
Yeah.
And then as a qualifier, which environments do the developers have access to, and which ones do they not? And who then has access to the higher environments?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and that's
my question.
completely configurable through that config YAML file. So we may give the developers access to the lab, and that's what I was using here. Developers QA may be able to go to the lab, whereas pre-production, certification, production regions, they're going to be people that are a little bit more close hold, and that would be more of a release structure. And so, yeah, it would be a little...
Who has access to the higher environments? Do you have a release team?
We would. That would be me. I am the release team.
What I'm hearing you say is that there's at least 4 environments here: dev, QA, pre-prod, and prod.
Right. So right now it's a core team. So my team basically manages everything from lab, dev, all the way through. We want to enable business units that have developers that want to extend the automate model for them to do so. But with the limitations we've had and be able to step on each other, we don't want to open that up and be at risk that they could take down another business unit or another automate model that somebody else is using in production. So with this, we can see what a team's doing, what they've pushed, and be able to easily roll back. We want to enable, if all 53 business units or whatever want to have a team that's developing against it and extending, they can. It'll give us that capability so we know what's been pushed into Git, look at the branch, see what they've done, and be able to easily roll back or push forward.
And just, the pain is obvious of not doing this, but what would you say is the biggest pain of an organization that, say, doesn't choose to have this kind of test automation and environment separation in the, say, first year of their journey?
It really depends on your environment, I would say. So we've grown a lot on acquisitions. I think we're over like 40 data centers right now, plus the cloud. Each one isn't consistent. It's not the same. Some are using this different tech stack infrastructure. Some are using other ones. So it's very, very different across all of them. So this gives us the capability to target all those with the differences they have. If you have a more standardized environment and say this is our reference architecture and it's the same everywhere, it may not be as big of an issue for you.
All right, thank you, JD, Jason, and Daniel.